Hi guys, how are you doing?
Good, how are you? We're
Good,
good.
good. um, I don't know. Have you watched any of the podcasts?
I watched Emily's just now.
Did you
Um,
just? Do you guys have Spotify or iTunes?
yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have
So,
Spotify.
so make sure you download them, and you can listen to them while driving
Okay, yeah.
to Edmonton. Um, so the podcast is just getting to know some of our players a little more and understanding the journey that many of our players have taken with handball. As with handball here in Alberta, you get to travel a lot, so kind of getting to know the players as well. A lot of people in North America always ask us how we grew the sport, and we're one of the few places in North America that has like really strong youth programs. So a lot of people always ask us about our players. So this is just something for people to listen to. So, first of all, we'll start with you, Catriona. If you can kind of tell us how you got involved in handball, the age you started, uh, just about that, not about Alberta yet or anything, just more how you got involved, and then Elyse, you can right after.
So, well, my mom, because she taught Sarah Koopman and Bryn, and I think she had to do a reference letter for one of them. And all of a sudden she looks and she's like, well, it says you've been to Iceland and a whole bunch of other places. Like, how'd you I didn't even know you went there. She's like, well, I went with Team Alberta. So then my mom kind of mentioned to me that I should do it. And then she started coaching. And then once I got into grade 10, the Red Deer team had a club team. So I went and I had my first game as a club team, no practice. Like I was thrown into a wing position.
Yeah.
And I think I watched the first half and then the second half I played and I had no clue what was going on. And yeah, I was playing with Sarah and Morgan and a whole bunch of other people who've been playing for a while too. So it was kind of scary.
Okay. Elise?
I started when I was 12. Miss Cronin started a club team at our school, and we had some we had lots of practices, and we played a couple other schools, but they weren't we weren't recording the scores and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was the provincials for junior high in Sherwood Park. So Calgary was going and they needed a couple extra players. So Miss Cronin mentioned to me and some other girls from my school that we could go up and play if we wanted to.
Yep.
And so I went up and we took off the Friday, and that's kind of how it started. And like Catriona said, I was the youngest and the smallest, so I played wing because that's kind of position that I could learn from and develop from without I don't know.
Yeah, just
Being
from playing with older
yeah.
girls and ones that have more size. Katrina, what age did you start at?
Grade 10, so 15.
Okay, so you never played junior high.
No, we didn't have it at all.
Okay.
Mrs. Gronin and I didn't start it when I was in middle school.
Okay, interesting. So now you were with you, Katrina, at least it's probably the same thing. You started club and then you played your first year of school, and then I would assume you got recruited to come to Alberta tryouts.
Sorry, I glitched a little bit.
Okay.
I got recruited by Darcy.
Okay.
Just he mentioned it, and I guess my mom kind of wanted me to do it all along. But then he mentioned it kind of to our whole team and tried to get as much people to come out.
Okay. And what was your first trip?
Serbia and then Japan after.
So both, at least your first trip was Serbia as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I glitching?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Just 1 second. Okay, so then your first trip, do you guys kind of want to tell us the experience? Like leading up to Serbia, you had camps, you're getting yourself prepared. how did you feel going to Serbia? Did you kind of know what to expect, or were you kind of thinking that you're going to go there and you're going to win every game? What were your expectations, and when you were there, what'd you think of it all?
When I went, like, I missed a lot of the camps because I was like on an exchange trip and then my auntie's wedding. And so, like, when I went, I was really scared because I didn't know a lot of the people either.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like at some of the camps, so I didn't know everything that some of the other people were. So I was kind of behind. And then, like, so I wasn't expecting to like really play much or anything. And then I got there and all these like people, all of the Serbia girls that we were playing were like, looked like university students and like played for the university teams, and it was like scary.
Yeah, I don't know. I still wonder if we were playing the right age groups that they told us we were playing, because some of them had like University of Belgrade shirts on,
Yeah.
and half of them were smoking too. So I don't know. What about you, Elyse?
Um, I was quite nervous before our trip. I had no idea what to expect. I hadn't gone on any trips without like my family, like without like obviously Catriona was there when I went, but
Yeah.
I hadn't gone on a trip without my parents. So it was a little nerve-wracking for me, but it's nice knowing that my sister was there, and I knew Ella before handball too, so it was nice knowing someone outside of the team.
Yeah.
But you never really know what to expect until you get there, and then once you get there, it changes you, and you just like you said, the girls they seemed a lot older, and they were already a lot older than me because I was one of the youngest.
Yeah.
But you kind of just went out there and did as the best you could.
Yeah, I still remember, Elyse. We had goal setting, and I think yours was to knock a Serbian on her ass. I think, is that what you said? I will always remember that. So, Katrina, on that trip and that team, you had a lot of girls from Red Deer area, didn't you, on your team?
Yeah, I think I had like 4 or 5 or maybe a couple more.
Okay, and then you had Ella, Elyse?
I had Ella from Red Deer, and then Kesley was from Bentley, but she was close by, and she practiced with us, so I knew her too. But I don't know. And there's Melissa too
Oh,
from
that's
Red
right.
Deer, but I'm not sure exactly who else there
I
was.
think that was it. So, when you guys got home from Serbia and you reflected on your experience in Serbia, were you motivated? Were you discouraged? Like, what were your thoughts coming home and your parents asking you, well, let me know about it? What'd you guys think of it all?
I thought it was like a good experience. Like, we played a lot of games and it was tough games, but like by the end, like, you got rewarded for hard working. Like, if you weren't doing anything, then obviously like you wouldn't play as much. But like
Yeah.
if you were trying to like do well, then you would. But so for me, it was a good experience. But
I kind of had like the same like experience. Well, not the same experience, but I felt the same way when I got home. Like, if you worked while you were there, you felt a lot better like when you got home, because it's almost like you wanted to go home, but you didn't want to leave at the same time. Like, you wanted to stay and you wanted to keep practicing and you wanted to keep learning, but at the same time, you worked so hard that you were ready to go home and ready to see your family. And I don't know if you remember, but like, you said that we should be trying to go to all the extra practices that we can. And I remember Ella and Katie and I coming downstairs, like you were outside sitting at one of the tables talking. I remember we came down and we tried to convince you to let us come to one of the earlier practices.
Yeah.
And I think we did the chicken dance so that we could convince you.
Yeah.
I wasn't very good when I started out, but I always wanted to try and improve as much as I could.
Yeah, I think that's both you guys. I think that's the one thing that makes you guys a sister special, is that you guys never settled. You always wanted to come to everything you can. And I mean, it shows now. And at that start, well, I think a big thing, and we're really trying to work on, is that in Alberta, handball is growing in your area. You have a club, but the most of the dominant higher level players are from the Edmonton area, and even players in your area when they're finished high school and they want to really continue, they move to Edmonton. Bryn McDougall and Sarah travels, and I think you guys have tried to sacrifice as much as you can to be able to come to a lot of it. Now, after Serbia, we got home, and then we had the weekend or the once a month camps leading up to Japan. Now, girls in Edmonton area now, they get to start training with the club a little more, and they have a lot of more open gyms. And you guys, I think, were practicing once a week, if that, maybe, correct?
Yeah.
Or just
For us, I think we had the practice times were weird times for us, and in between our schedule, it was hard to go to all of them.
Yeah.
So we ended up, I don't think we really went to many practices, but they weren't good practices either, really. They were as good as they could be, but we don't really have the gym space or the equipment. So.
Yeah, and the court that we had, I mean, we tried our best, but it didn't have the lines. We didn't have the same equipment to practice with, but we did the best we could with what we had.
Yeah.
And
I think
sorry,
go on, keep going.
And then when we got to the place, when we went to Japan, we just had to work and catch up to where all the other girls were at.
Yeah. So between those, from Serbia, which was in August, Japan was November, did you and you guys are the first people on the podcast from Red Deer, so from that point, does it become difficult? Because you guys, again, you do as much as you can, plus you're multi-sport athletes, so handball's not the only sport you guys play. Does it become difficult seeing the kind of, now you see the players in the Edmonton region training more, practicing more, their club teams are a little bit more successful? Does that get frustrating, or do you guys just know that's at this point in the growth of handball in Alberta, it's part of it?
I think my mom said it once before. She's I almost feel living in Red Deer, we don't have as much of an advantage as living in Calgary or Edmonton for sports wise, because there's so many different, for everything, there's so many different programs. And we end up driving up to Edmonton during the school year, probably at least 2 times a week we're up there. Yeah. And for tournaments or for handball, and I think we've just gotten used to it. On the car rides, we usually do our homework or sleep. And I think seeing the Edmonton girls kind of practice more makes us, I think, try and work harder, but we only have so many hours in a day, so it kind of
It does get frustrating sometimes, because it's not really something we can control, and we try to make it work as much as we possibly can, but it does feel like it's a disadvantage sometimes to live in Red Deer. But like Catriona said, we're used to it for all of our sports. I've had the same issue with soccer, where there's better teams and better programs in Edmonton or Calgary, but we can't pick up everything and live there.
Yeah, exactly. So this is an issue with all sports?
Yeah, I know the basketball's better out there. I know Red Deer has a strong volleyball program, but even then all of our tournaments were up in Edmonton. Okay. And I know for soccer, Elyse, they always travel.
Yeah, we've played in lots of different leagues, and the numbers here aren't as strong as they are in Edmonton. And I'm playing with the younger girls right now, which is a better program because there's better coaches, better numbers, and the teams works together better. But it's definitely a disadvantage because all of the coaching staff that I don't know how to explain it, but for my age group, there's not the numbers, there's not the coaching, and the way that the league works, I can only play with the younger girls for this year, and then I have to go play either somewhere else, or I can't play at all, or I have to play with house league, which isn't really what I want to do, but yeah, it's been an issue that I've had to deal with for a little bit.
Okay. So now we'll get back to that. I want to talk more about that. But going now, you got to go to Japan, and then both you guys went to Sweden, Denmark. How are those experiences compared to your first trip and continuing? I mean, Japan is a whole different handball. How are those experiences for you guys going to Japan, Sweden, Denmark? Catriona, even you. I mean, you got also now got asked to go to Martinique with the senior women. So you went from one level to a whole different level. How are you guys' experience so far with like Alberta and all those kind of trips?
Well, I know for me, like, Japan was a good trip for me because I got to play with the older people too, because I know they didn't have like enough people, or like enough people weren't really trying. So then I got to go and play with them. And then like Sweden and Denmark, like I found it kind of frustrating because we were on like the team that didn't really have people that were trying as much. So then, and we had like lots of injuries too. So then we were trying to like do as much as we could, but we were playing like out of position too. So like that was hard, but we like pushed through it. And like then for Martinique, like I think that was probably my favorite trip. But like it was good because the handball was so much like better quality, and like the people that I was playing with have played for years. So like, and like I think you finally were like the first time you coached me was in Martinique.
Yeah.
So like I got like different coaching and like more people that knew more things about handball. So I got like a better insight of what to do.
Yeah. Elyse?
Well, you kind of notice each country you go to that like handball's played differently. In Serbia, it's a lot more aggressive. It's a bit dirtier. And then you go to Japan, and it's a lot more fast-paced. They're a lot quicker. They move the ball faster. And they like to do these little, like, chants and, like, dances kind of things.
Yeah.
And it's just you notice the differences between all of the different countries and how it's played and how they're coached. And like Catriona said, when we went to Sweden and Denmark, it was probably one of my favorite trips, Sweden and Denmark, but I wouldn't say that it was my favorite team to play on. But
so the experience of those tournaments is incredible, but the handball wise wasn't the best that you guys thought for your team.
Sorry, glitched again.
Oh, glitch. I said like the Sweden Denmark was a great experience, but it was just difficult handball wise.
Yeah. Well, it's just we got moved around a lot. Like Catriona and I had to play all sorts of different positions, and we had two of our players out, and it's just I think lots of people on our team were either frustrated or didn't care at all.
Yeah.
But in Denmark, I got to play with the Denmark international team for that like international tournament that they had.
Yeah.
And that was also an amazing experience. You got to like play with all these girls who'd been playing handball their entire life, and they just lived and breathed handball kind of like us, and you just got to see their passion for the sport, which was really incredible.
Well, I think the mistake on our part is for Sweden, Denmark, when we selected the teams, we thought, well, maybe if we keep it regional, the teams, that there'd be a lot more being able to train, where you guys would be able to train with your team more. But I guess what we found out is some of those girls were going for the trip more than they were going for the handball. And I mean, yeah, I can see why it did get frustrating. But I think when you look back, what it did for you guys is you guys got a ton of playing time.
Yeah.
Which is great. So now you guys were now getting more serious into handball. Both of you are multi-sport athletes, and you come from many sports. And maybe I'm wrong, and tell me, but it looks like you guys have made handball one of the priorities in your sports. What is it about handball or the experience that have made you guys kind of make that choice where, well, I mean, Catriona, I think you were missing zones basketballs to go to Martinique, I think.
Yeah.
Which is one of your last school tournament. Well, it was the last school tournament that you played because of COVID, but Um, and again, Elyse, you're into soccer big. What was the reasonings of you guys making that choice to handball? What are the things about handball that you guys love?
Well, I think like handball, like it's really easy for us to like develop. Like there's so many practices that we can go to. Like even if it is up in Edmonton, like it's easy. Like there's more stuff that we can do to improve.
Yeah.
Like and especially right now, like there's so many like open gyms and we have the outside playing and stuff. And being able to go to that, like that's helped a lot. I know like when we were able to have the goalies, Ella was saying that like just since the beginning of this, like I've improved a lot. Like my shot has improved.
Yeah.
And just being able to like have one-on-one time with like coaches and like being able to focus on the little things has helped a lot.
Yeah.
So then like with getting better, I get more interested in the sport. And then like the more we win, the better I like it. And like, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I've fallen in love with handball. I love it. I love the fast pace. I like how it includes like aggression. As you've noticed, I can be a little bit aggressive. But I like how it includes so many different things that I love about all the other sports.
Yeah.
And I think what's made me fall in love with like this program is that the program's so good that we can develop and we're constantly finding new ways to improve. There's constantly like different training and there's just so many different ways for us to improve and we get good feedback too, which is hard to come by in some sports. And I think like just the program's so good that it helps us as players fall in love with the sport even more.
So question, would you guys be as committed if there wasn't the trips to Europe?
I think so because like the trips to Europe, like, yeah, it's a little bit more incentive to like try well, but like the whole reason why we go is to like see how other teams play, to like incorporate that into how we play.
Yeah.
And I think like even without that, like just staying here and playing against like Sol and Maxi and like Katie Ferentz and Cassie and all of them, like it gives me so much more incentive to like work harder and like see what I could like do one day and how like they play.
I know that like at the beginning, the trips were more of like a drawing feature. Like it was something that made people interested in the sport, but it's almost as if the trips aren't worth it if you don't like the sport. Like you have to fall in love with the sport. Otherwise the trips, they're meaningless. And I would say like, even if we didn't get to go on the trips, I'd still want to be this committed to the sport and I'd still want to develop and grow as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, that's very well said. I just started laughing because today a picture showed up on Instagram and it was the dream team and it was from Sweden. And it was the girls I coached. And there was one girl in the picture from your team. I think you guys probably know who from your team, Catriona.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was just, I started laughing about it today. But you guys said it right. People are enticed by the trip, but if you don't love handball, people don't understand. Like a lot of people think they probably ask you guys, oh, you get to go all these places. Yeah, but you don't actually do a lot of sightseeing. Like you're more into like playing games. You do some sightseeing, but if you don't in love with handball, it becomes a long trip. So Catriona, now like you said before, it was very different in Martinique compared to the other trips. You probably saw more intensity in me and the players that you've played with. Did you enjoy that kind of intensity with the team, going from that to before when you were more just in the developing stage where you win, you lose, but with the team in Martinique, it's more just about winning?
I liked it a lot. Like I know when I first went, like Elyse thought I was going to Saskatchewan and didn't realize I
didn't know where Martinique was.
You thought it was in Saskatchewan?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I know she didn't care that much. So then she wasn't
did care.
Jealous.
I was jealous. I just didn't realize it was a nice tropical vacation. Well, not vacation, that's not the right word, but like experience.
Yeah.
And like playing with the older girls, like I loved it. Like I think playing with like you as a coach and like everything's about winning. So like even if you don't play as much as you want to, like as long as everyone's working towards the goal of winning and not just working to get the game over with and just like go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I liked like, and the other team was also trying to win and like trying, like there's real competition, and like everything we did we had to like fix because the other team might not have like might be able to shut that down really quick, and because they play differently over there.
Yeah.
And I know like having you as a coach, like it changed like my perspective, because like everything before that, like it was kind of like, well, you could do this but I don't know, or you could do this, but then you were like more like this is what's going to work right now, and then like you'd learn how to do it and then it would work and then everybody would benefit from it.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say the older girls, but they're like, our older girls are 19 years old. Like we went with we went with a very young team to
Yeah.
that tournament. We didn't even bring our oldest girls. So, but I think that was probably, for me anyways, it was a good environment. It was a good group of players, and everyone seemed like they were there for the right reasons. Um, so now, some of your goals coming ahead, Catriona, obviously now you're done high school, and usually when you're done high school in Red Deer, you move out of Red Deer. Most people do anyways. The plan is for you to go to UVic.
Yeah. I just found out about my residence like I think yesterday, and I got in, so then I'll move out there. But like it kind of just depended on where I got in for schools, because I was leaning towards staying in Red Deer, but that would still mean like driving up to Edmonton, and like if I wanted to play handball next year, I wanted to be like fully committed.
Yeah.
And I know like I didn't like get into U of A, and I tried some other schools, but nothing else really like had what I wanted in interest. And like I know, because now that the trip's been moved, my dad's talked about flying me back for like some of the camps and stuff too, depending on what happens next year. So we'll see. And then like if I transfer to back to Edmonton, or if I like move back, then I probably will play handball again, depending on how long I've been gone, I guess. Because if it's only this year that I move there and then I come back, then it's a little bit different. But if I stay there for 4 years, I probably won't come back and play. But
So, is it online courses there?
for the first semester, and then the second semester is we don't know yet, but
Okay.
you can only get res for full year.
Okay. So you're there for sure for the year.
Yeah.
Elyse, well, just so you know, this is new information, but Martinique is not in Saskatchewan. It's an island. But right beside Martinique, there's a place called Guadalupe, and we played against them, and we've been invited to Guadalupe they want to do an exchange with us. So they're going to come here in February. I don't know why they want to come here in February, but they want to see winter, but I don't know why. And there's now a chance. We're just working and finalizing details that we might be going there in November instead of Germany.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah, so you'd be in a tropical island.
Almost Manitoba.
Yeah, almost Manitoba, exactly. So now you're in going into grade 10, Elyse? Did I glitch again?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going into grade 10 now?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are some of your goals with handball? Just so you know, after watching you play beach and watching you do this, I'm saying this on now that I think we're going to start developing you as a back. So I don't know if you're happy with that or upset about it, but just watching you play beach and just watching some of the drills and the outdoor practices, I think with your category, I think you can be a good center back. So it'd be good to work with you starting now as a winger plus center back. But anyways, what are some of your goals in the next few years with handball?
Obviously, I'd like to keep developing and keep playing with Team Alberta and trying to reach as much of my full potential as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And I like playing, like I played back before, but I know that it's not gonna, like, it's gonna be a lot better to play back now, obviously, because I've developed, and I think that wing has given me a lot of different skills that will help me be a back, and I'm really excited to start learning that new position and learning different skills. And some of my goals moving forward would to be able to communicate with my players better and to understand them and work together as a team so that we can have that communication, we can have that bonding. We're almost to the point where you almost don't need to communicate with them because you understand each other so well and you understand what you need to do.
Yeah. And your group, you're the U16 group, you have a group that's kind of been together for now, going into third year. So you guys are starting to get to know each other a little more, which is a good thing. I mean, you went to the regional team there in Red Deer, but now that we're going back to an official U16 team, it's a team that can grow together and be very, very successful. Can I add one more goal to that for you?
Yeah.
Is maybe not try to hurt the coach. Did I glitch again? Yeah.
I mean,
maybe,
I can't make any guarantees, but
okay. Yeah, just don't try to abuse the coach because I don't know if that's something you should do.
it was your finger.
Yeah, it hurt. So Catriona, so right now your goal is you're training all summer now with us. You join the academy there, and then it's trying to do the best you can to come up as camps like maybe every 2 months or something to prepare for another trip, the next trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Selfishly, I was kind of hoping that you were staying here and doing online courses, but
Yeah, and I thought maybe that would happen, but like just with the how second semester is so uncertain,
yeah.
and I'm sure it'll probably be online anyways, and I'll end up paying a bunch of money for nothing. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
But you know what? You're going to have a great experience there. I mean, living somewhere else, meeting new people. I mean, it's exciting. Obviously, we want to keep you in handball and everything like that. But I mean, that's an experience that you have to do, and education obviously is the biggest priority. But know that no matter what, you're always a part of our program. You'll never be a part of BC program. Just make that clear. And so we'll work hard this summer and keep on developing and see what we can do and find plans for you to be part of the program as long as you want to be. It's not really your fault. It's not your fault to go to school. We just have to find solutions to make it work. So hopefully you're going to be around.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't handle your sister just by herself. You need someone else to control her.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of last things before we end. What are things that you guys think that we can do better in the central area to develop more the handball there? I mean, it's growing number-wise. I mean, you guys had, I think, 4 in your club. You had, 2 U16 girls teams? A U16 boys, 1 U19 girls, and 1 U19 boys. What do you think things are that can, for us to develop that area more and kind of not just get players to play, but develop them where they can compete? Like, obviously, we have some girls from Red Deer like you guys that can compete, but then we have some players that just are not developing as much. What are things you guys see that we can do to really work in that area?
It's kind of hard because there's not really much you can do because it really just depends on if we can go up to Edmonton, and like you can't come down to Red Deer every single day and do practices too because you also need to be up in Edmonton, and we don't even really have like the gym space to do a lot of a lot of the good practices like the Commonwealth ones because the gym is bigger. because I know most of the gyms that we get like barely fit a basketball court inside of them. So like I know that it's kind of hard to like fix any of it. And I think too, like the players from Red Deer, like they just need to really want to learn how to play well in order to like benefit from it. So like if you don't really want it, then you aren't going to really benefit.
Yeah, but I came down every Friday to run the TAS program, and there was players, and I agree with you because you would go there and you can see that people were there, but not everyone was there to become the best they can be. But do you not think that's on us as coaches and us as people running the club and the federation to make sure that the people are there for the right reasons?
Well, it's kind of hard because like sometimes like you can't really control if they want to be there or if they don't want to be there. Like I guess you can kick them out, but that's not going to really do anything. Like they have to be able to recognize that like maybe this isn't for me anymore, and like, or well, everybody else is benefiting and I'm not, like what's happening, and then realize that maybe it's you not trying to do much better.
Yeah, okay, that's well said. Then maybe what you're saying is we should invest more time into developing coaches there. You think that's an important thing?
Yeah, a little bit. Like I think because we only really have one main coach, like we only really have Darcy in Red Deer, and like I know there's a couple others who are trying to get more involved, but it's hard because like I know like my mom's one of the coaches, and like she'll tell us to do something and like we're like that's not how you do it, and then and I know even like my dad's thought about coaching, but like I know for beach this weekend when he came up, he's like telling us what to do, and then we're like, no, Dad, you can't just do that, like that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So
But those are the people that we got to get involved to start learning about the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think, Elyse? Things that we can do?
I noticed like I liked TAS. I liked when you came down and you worked with us, and I think that it helped because you had like two different age groups, didn't you? Yeah. So you had
because,
like
the first time we went all together, but it was just two huge level differences. Yeah. Go on.
and I think that like that helps, and then like having the different age groups, it helps kind of separate. But I think like almost something that you might want to consider is like almost like separating by age, but also like the people who really want to be there, developing them so that they can maybe play with the older players and that they can get that kind of same training. And I know that's hard, and it's not on you at all for like the drive. Like that's something that people need to find themselves, and if they can't do that, then you can't force someone to fall in love with the sport, and you can't force them to want to try. But I know that like it's hard for people sometimes when they feel down on themselves and they feel like there's a difference between people having like down periods where they're just not like feeling confident in themselves and they're not having their best training, and then there's differences between people who just never try. And that's not really on you, that's more on us as players. And I know that you're trying to do everything you possibly can to develop us to be the best we can.
Yeah, and I agree with you guys. It's that fine line because there's many people that say, no, I want to be here. I want to be the best I can be. And then you say, okay, well, yeah, it's best that you probably try to drive up once a week because there's not enough in Red Deer. No, I'm got to hang out with my boyfriend. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do that. And then even when you come down to Red Deer, even one of our senior girls that's there, it didn't show up much, and I called her out on it and said to her, I'm driving to help you, and you're not even coming to them. And it's important for us to like. You're saying it properly that we should really separate it. And if there's 5 girls from right now in Red Deer that are really committed, those are the 5 we should really try to break off and say, hey, push yourselves more and do more for you guys, and then hopefully it grows. because I mean, Red Deer's had a lot of growth and a lot of people join the program and the Alberta program, but then when they find out the work that needs to be put in, then they kind of start dropping off. So last few questions. What is the favorite trip you guys have been on?
I think for me it was Martinique because like I had you as a coach for the first time and like I got to play up with the older girls and see like how fast paced it is too and like experience what it's like to like play with like Chelsea was almost going to Pan Am before her knee and like playing with like really good players like that and like Cassie and Katie who just came back from Germany and like yeah.
I think like team-wise, my best trip was probably Japan because we all got to know each other. We all got to work as a team. And I had you coaching me, and like I feel like that's when I really developed, and that's when our team really came together. But I think one of my favorite trips because of like the tournaments would probably be Sweden and Denmark because I loved that trip. I loved playing against all these different teams from all over the world, and I loved how huge it was and how like everyone lived and breathed handball, and it was just all about handball. And then I loved in Denmark when they had that international tournament.
Yeah. Do you know that we're supposed to be in Portugal right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I keep on getting everything from last year and seeing it and like seeing the ceremonies with all the, like the different countries.
Yeah. Tomorrow is the opening day of the bigger tournament that we were supposed to go to, and it's quite sad. Favorite game that you guys have played? The one game you always remember in 3 years, Catriona, you're in UVic and you're talking to someone and they're like, "Oh, handball. Well, I played it." What was the one game that you will always remember? What would you say?
I think one of the most like the games that I remember like the best is I didn't, I guess, have that great of a game, but we were playing in Japan and we were playing against like the older team, like the really well. I think it was like one of the top like country or teams in the country.
Yeah.
And like playing our game and then playing with the older girls too. And then I also remember not feeling good and having like call a sub and then run off and go to the bathroom and then come back and play more. And I think like I didn't play great that game, but like I think it was the best game because I got to see like they were so fast. And I think we lost by 40 points, but like it was just a good game to experience losing by 40 points and like seeing how fast they are and like pushing through, feeling sick too.
Was that the game that you guys had to drive like an hour or two?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the national champions.
Yeah. It was like crazy.
They were an incredible team. What about you, Elyse?
I have a couple. I remember when we were in Japan, this was the game that we went to, like, we drove and we sung a whole bunch of songs the whole drive there, and, like, you could just tell the team was already so bonded. And then we got there, and I think that was the team it was like a small gym, and it had, like, I think there was, like, a stage in the background. I don't really remember.
Yeah.
But it was the game where I don't know if it was my first goal, but I like got a fast break and I scored and I barely scored. I think it landed on the line and like everyone was debating if it counted or not. Yeah. But I think that was probably one of the bigger ones. And then also when we were in Japan, when we went to like the Olympics like training center and we got to play those teams, I think that was just like a cool experience for me. And I don't know if the game was as memorable as the other game that I was just talking about, but like the experience to be able to go there and like play against those teams, that was pretty big.
The first game you're talking about, we won.
Yeah.
And then if so just more to that, we got invited to the private Olympic Center where we had to be like scanned and like to go to the bathroom. You have to have someone there take you there. We played the national champions and we played the national team.
Yeah.
So we had those two games and we were only down by I think 3 at halftime against the national champions. And then that was that's one of my favorite memories too in handball was that whole the whole center, and for you guys to be able to play at that level was pretty cool. Did I glitch again?
Yeah. And then a little bit, but I kind of got
Okay.
what you said for the
Good.
most part.
Good.
And then I have one more that I have a lot, but in Sweden and Denmark when we were playing, well, no, it wasn't in Sweden and Denmark. It was in Denmark when we were playing that international game, and it wasn't with my same team, but it was just playing with those girls. It's something that I'll never forget. And I remember when we won that tournament and just getting to meet all those girls, and they were all so nice, and it's just something that I'll never be able to forget.
But I don't know if that was televised. It was on the internet, like on live stream, and you scored a bunch of goals. Because I remember watching it. I couldn't tell it was you because you were playing right wing. Or no, were you
Yeah.
playing left? Or I can't remember. But you kept on shooting low, and you scored a few goals. And yeah, that was a pretty cool. If people don't understand, it was an all-star game with an international all-star game. So it was the players selected to be in the best players of the tournament selected to be in that game. And at that point, you were what, 13?
14. 14. I was 14.
And it was what, U16s, right?
I think it might have been, but I think there's some older girls on that team. And
maybe it was U18. I don't remember, but I know you were playing age category higher.
yeah.
So now I guess the last things I kind of want to say is that, like, I asked you guys both to be on the podcast together because the one thing is both of you guys have that work ethic to be really, really good handball players, and you guys have grown so much as handball players. You've sacrificed a lot to be able to, and your parents have driven. Like, I mean, as soon as COVID kind of rules kind of went a little bit, both you guys came to Edmonton twice a week to train with us on some grass with no goalie, with a new modified shooter tutor every time, and being able to do that. And then obviously you guys are playing beach and now getting into the other academy. I just want to, because I never get to really sit down and talk with you guys a lot, but know that as a federation and myself as a coach, that appreciate all the sacrifices you guys get to do, and to know that you guys are big parts of our program, and hopefully, even though you're going to UVic, Catriona, that you're part of the program as long as you want. You know, when you're back, you let us know when you're back. We'll make sure we set up camps so that you're able to continue with our program as much as you want. And as you say, Elyse, is you're part of a group that's, I mean, a very good group and has a great future as a team together. So I just want to thank you guys a lot for all the sacrifices you've done. You guys all play 10 sports, and you go from one sport to another and then drive up and then sleep in the back of the car. And if people don't understand, it's about an hour and 45 minutes for you guys to come to a practice that's an hour and a half or 2 hours. So it's 3.5 hours of driving for a 2-hour practice. So I commend you guys, and the reason our program is so good is because of players like you and the sacrifices you made. So I want to thank you guys a lot for all that you've done for our sport, and, you know, putting in the time and everything. So thank you guys.
Well, thank you for your sacrifices too, because I know you've spent a lot of time planning our trips, and you have to drive up and down just as much as we do. So thank you.
And you like do all the practices and like make them open. So like if we are up in Edmonton, like to go to our grandparents or something, we can drop by for like 2 hours and then go and like make it easy for us to practice too.
Yeah, and well, I appreciate that, but it's the players that do all the work. It's my joy. Like, I mean, I love it, but it makes it easier when we have players like you guys that put in that sacrifice. And so, yeah, so it's been great, and we're just getting started. And I mean, Elyse, you're 15?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you play 3 years with Alberta, and you're 15 years old. So there, and Catriona, you're 18 now? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So the last question is, Why didn't we start beach handball earlier? You guys are a dominant team. You guys came to the first beach handball tournament with no subs. Hopefully you don't do that because the court is official size tomorrow. So we
Oh,
played it.
that wasn't official size.
No, it's 7 meters longer tomorrow. Okay. So make sure you have a sub. But you guys are good beach players. You know what? Even the Bentley team in the open division, they went undefeated yesterday. And they're a really good team as well. And we're like, the national team should be based out of your guys' region. What'd you guys think of beach handball?
I liked it, but it's just weird to play defense because like you can't touch them. So it's like you just stand there and block them and try to like make their shot as hard as possible without touching them.
Yeah, it's you have to block, you have to try to take charges, steal the ball, or jump in the crease and block. Did you guys like it though? Did you guys like it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And I hope like we should have a full bench, but
yeah. Do you find it very different than regular handball?
Yeah. It's a lot more. Well, obviously you don't like dribble really at all much, and it's a lot more passing and like the defense, like Catriona said, it's different, but I liked it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I like how like you'll pull the goalie and like even if you just get the rebound really quick, like it's so easy to just get it in the or not really get it in the net, but like aim towards the net.
Yeah.
To at least scare the goalie.
But you'll see it tomorrow though. With the 7 meters, goalies don't score much.
Okay.
It makes a huge difference. So and it looks like 2024 it's going to be in the Summer Olympics.
That should be like cool to watch.
That'll be cool to watch, yeah.
Watch. You guys are the age to be playing in it. Not to watch it. That's what I'm saying.
It'd be cool to watch while sitting on the sidelines.
Or playing.
Watching it.
We're
And
the
then
only
going on to play it.
We're the only place in Canada that has a league for beach handball, so we'll make the national team out of here. And a lot of people say that it's beach handball and regular handball are two different handball games. It's not even close to the same. So, but tomorrow, the only thing I ask is you guys try some 360s and some alley-oops.
Yeah.
It's good. Well, I want to thank you guys for doing this. It was interesting to hear some thoughts about, you guys living far out and some thoughts that, how it is being part of the program from a little bit of a distance. So I appreciate that and your stories about the trip. So thank you very much. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. What time do you guys play?
I know we have to wake up at like 8.
Oh, that's not bad.
I think we play at 10:30 or something.
Oh, the person must have made a nice schedule for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Well, the podcast won't be up by tomorrow. You guys are scheduled for in a few weeks, but by then we'll know if you're the champions in the Beach Handball League. So thank you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.